My name is Moses Powell. I've been studying jiu-jitsu for the last 20 years. I'm the master Furindo Visitational. And at this particular time, I'm a senior master in the art of Jiu-Jitsu Te and Jiu-Jitsu Ryu.
.radio.net presents to you some of the most deadly jiu-jitsu masters in the world. Trained in the vicious urban inner-city street combat system of Sanukas Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, this art was created by the legendary Dr. Moses Powell, the father of American contemporary jiu-jitsu and the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. This network brings together 4 radio shows 4 nights a week, starting with Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Each one teach one, with the Pia Master himself, Grandmaster Urban Muhammad, and his protege, Professor Terrence Hale. Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Modern Combat Masters, hosted by the inheritor of GM Billy Davis Jiu-Jitsu, guru of his own Filipino system, and Sanukas Master, Grandmaster Daryl Sargent, and his co-host, Sifu Reseda de Jesus. Thursday nights at 9 p.m. is Professor Tom Curry's radio talk show. A Kenpo Master and Professor of Sanukas Ryu, 20 years law enforcement, senior tactical training instructor for intelligence retired, and author of the official Sanukas Ryu Jiu-Jitsu testing and training curriculum. And Friday nights at 8 p.m. is Making the Connection, hosted by the president of DocRadio.net, Grandmaster in the art of Sanukas Ryu and Soke of Kuroshi Kaikan Martial Arts System, and president of the Family of Sanukas organization, Soki Haisan Khalik, and his co-host, Shihan Farouk Gibbs. All of these shows can be linked to online by typing in docradio.net or listening live at the scheduled time by dialing 646-716-6825. DocRadio.net is also proud to present DocMagazine.net, the world's largest martial art magazine dedicated to Dr. Moses Powell, Sanukas Ryu Eye-to-Eye Jiu-Jitsu, Urban Tactical Street Self-Defense, and Streetology. Please join our Facebook group by typing in docradio.net and follow us on Twitter by typing docradio.net. Thank you for your support, and in the words of Doc, eye to eye, heart to heart, to the wall and back, us.
Welcome to Eye to Eye. This is
Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Eye to Eye. This is Fukan Shabazz on the mat, the official radio station for the Sanukas Ryu. Well, let me not say that. I don't make it. Maybe take out the word official. But the love, this show got so much love, man. For the Sanukas Ryu system, and most importantly, we got love for Dr. Moses Powell. On this day, 7 years ago, January 22nd, 2005. The greatest martial artist that ever walked the planet, the greatest martial artist that ever did a technique, the greatest martial artist that ever lived, the greatest martial artist that ever walked, that ever breathed, that ever talked. His name was Dr. Moses Powell, and he passed away 7 years ago. And man, what a loss. 7 years later, we still missing him. We still feeling the devastation of his loss, the void, that was put, in not just in Sanukas, but in the martial arts world. I mean, we're talking about Dr. Moses Powell. If you don't know who Dr. Moses Powell is, Dr. Moses Powell is a prodigy. You know what I mean? Like, he's like a Tiger Woods. He's a Muhammad Ali. He's a Einstein. The brother he's the prodigy of martial arts. But unfortunately, when we go to movie theaters, we see the Jackie Chans, we see the Steven Seagals and all that. But one day in the future, if it be the permission of God, one day, we will see Dr. Moses Powell, all over the society, all over the world, because Dr. Moses Powell was the greatest martial artist in the world of the 20th century. But fortunately for us, he's left behind many disciples. And the first one that comes to mind, definitely my teacher, Shihan Salahuddin, my professor, senior professor Saifullah, you know, Soke Littlejohn, you know, Soke Hassan, you know, Grandmaster Logan, Professor Rockma, Professor Shem, Grandmaster Noah Arrington, Grandmaster Lumumba, Grandmaster Rudy. You know, I could go on and on and on and on and on. Matter of fact, if you go to the show and look at the archives, everybody that's there, that's all his disciples. Everybody that I did interview, you know, which is coming, is his disciples. But without any further more, before I move on the show, let me bring on my Shion. Heart to heart, Shion, welcome on the Mad Show.
Oh, thank you.
I want you to tell the world. Everything is great, so I want you to tell the world who Dr. Moses Powell is before we go to the line, because the call is lighting up. So everybody stay on. I see you. I'm going to get to you. Let the Shion talk, and then I'm going to bring you on, and then you're going to tell us what, you know, where were you when Dr. Moses Powell passed away?
All right, good. To answer the first question, who Dr. Powell was, well, in my opinion, he was the greatest martial artist I've ever seen. And I do mean that I've ever seen. Growing up a Bruce Lee fan and all these other martial arts, Chuck Norris and stuff like that, it was Dr. Moses Powell. He was the one I could relate to as a 6'2", 6'1.5", 6'2", 240-pound, 14-year-old defensive tackle and offensive tackle in high school. He was the one that I could relate to, you know. Just simply, I've never seen anybody move like Doc. And I've never seen anybody move close to the way Doc moved. He was a tremendous individual and an even better martial artist. And I learned a lot of lessons from Dr. Moses Powell, both physical as well as mental and life lessons. He was an incredible man and even better martial artist. I got the news that Dr. Moses Powell passed from my late teacher, Grandmaster Carol Muhammad Little, here in Atlanta. I remember I own a small bread business, as most of you know, and he called me to tell me that Doc had passed. But when he initially called me, he didn't really say Doc passed. He just said, "Man, I got some bad news, some real sad news." And I was like, "Oh, okay, what's going on?" I thought something had happened to him. You know, maybe did he lose his job? Was he in an accident or something? And he was, you know, basically, although it was a phone call, he was, you know, he was kind of teary-eyed. I can tell by the tone in his voice. And he told me he had some real bad news, and then, you know, so, you know, it took a few seconds before he got to it. And then told me that Dr. Moses Powell passed. And I remember, you know, I think I was working in one of my accounts at the time, and I stopped, you know, and I had to, and I said, I thought he was actually, you know, I don't want to say kidding, because he doesn't, Professor Carol Muhammad, or Grandmaster Carol Muhammad doesn't really kid. But when he told me that, I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah." He had got the phone call from Florida shortly after it, I guess the doctor was pronounced dead. And it was real, you know, that day we just, you know, so I got off work early and I went to see Professor, and we just talked about numerous things within Snooker's Rule. And one of the things we talked about is, you know, the missed opportunities that he wished he could have did. He really wanted to spend a lot more time with Doc, delve into more things with Doc, you know, and, you know, really just get back to what he used to do with Doc, which, you know, they were really close. And, you know, he just, you know, he constantly talked about, you know, just missing opportunities to be with his teacher, you know. And, you know, I told him everything was going to be okay, and, you know, and so on and so on. And then the next following, I think it was the next day, we had a class. And that class, you know, I saw a side of Grandmaster Muhammad that I haven't seen in a long time. He's more determined, you know, as far as his Sanukas. And he was straight to the point, and he was just, you know, you can see that, you know, as a Muslim, we don't believe that Doc comes in and works through people and things like that, you know, physically. But, you know, I could have, you know, if I had to testify, I would say that Doc was teaching that class. Because Grandmaster Muhammad, I've never seen him move better than after the day that I heard that Dr. Moses Powell had passed away and transversed to the other side. Well, you there, Shabazz?
Yes, sir. I'm definitely here. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a sad day, you know.
Yeah, man. You know, before I go to, matter of fact, let me take a call before I say anything else. I'm going to go to 3503. 3503. Your number is 3503. You're on the mat. All right. Okay. I'm going to go to 5496. 5496. Okay. All right. Let me go to 2308. Or 23.
Eye to eye, sir.
Heart to heart.
Heart to heart. This is Sophie Hassan Khalid.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hey, if you don't mind, sir, I'd love to keep you on the show because Professor Safe I was going to call. I'd love to keep you on the show with us as one of our co-hosts. Do you have time or not?
Yes, sir. I'm calling you from a cell. I have about 2 bars on my battery, but as long as I can hold out, thank you guys for taking the time to do this call.
Okay, great, man. Great. Hey, since I'm going to keep you on the hold, let me just see this. I think this is safe. I want Professor Safe for 1 second. 1679? 1679. All right. It's okay. Yes, sir. Talk to us, please.
So, greetings, brother. Eye to eye.
Heart to heart.
Heart to heart. Yes, sir, brother. Thank you again for taking the time to have this call out. Brother Shabazz, thank you again for that great segue to what this day is about and what this moment is about, speaking on the greatness of Supreme Grandmaster Dr. Powell. As I heard you speak, you can't help but to remember some times. And in answer to your lead question as to what we were doing on this day when we heard the news, I can't really remember exactly what I was doing. I know that I was in Brooklyn, New York. As I try to think back who I heard the news from, I couldn't really remember that as well. But that day was, just a strange day in a sense, because we had just seen Dr. Powell just recently prior to that, because we were at this birthday celebration. We know that he celebrates his birthday in January, and I was the originator of the birthday celebrations that we had for some years before his passing. So, and being in good spirits and in good health and good everything, just being in his presence, it was really a shock when we did get the news. And it took a while to sink in, because we as family, as in any other family, we want to hear it from other family members too, as confirmation. If someone else outside the family told us that, we'd be very doubtful for some time. But hearing it from reliable sources, as you said earlier, Professor Carol Muhammad, people wouldn't joke around about something like that. Every time that you would hear confirmation on it from a family member, it just was sinking a little bit deeper. And, not knowing what family member to call next or how to feel about it, because he was at a distance from us in Florida, we had some reservations about what to do next. When you hear news like that of someone being ill and then making their transition, it's an entirely different feeling of when you just get the news of somebody who you had the chance to just reach out and touch, speak to just moments prior to that. But definitely a moment of devastation for us all. But it's not a day that goes by that we don't live his legacy and speak well of them. I know there's other callers want to get on, but it's just one note that I wanted to make mention of in my relationship with Supreme Grandmaster Dr. Powell, is that you drew reference to a whole lot of people who the society may have deemed as being genius as to what they do, Einstein and so forth and so on. That these people were held in a class by themselves, and still to this day they are. Dr. Powell will always remain there as well. But one of the things in over my 20 years of being associated with him that I can always remember vividly is that I never ever once heard him speak ill of another martial artist. Not even in anger or someone did something to him. He would always have a way of saying it. You would always get the message when Doc speaks to you, because he wouldn't always tell you exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, but you got the message because he would always have a way to convey it to you. He always had you contemplating about how what he's saying to you has an overall effect. Like one of his quotes would be, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. and the hunt is on the run. You know, I still remember that to this day. And it would be things like that. Just as you chuckled just now, it would make you understand that, you know, you can't always think. You know, you can paraphrase that so many different ways, but you can't always think that you got the upper hand. You can't always until that point of reality comes to you, and that's what his eye-to-eye system of jiu-jitsu was about. You know, you can say whatever you want until it comes to that moment where you have to face a man eye-to-eye. Then what happens? You know, you can talk the talk, but you got to be able to walk the walk. So, you know, those are the things that I remember vividly about him, is that, you know, he always kept it real, and he never would let no one take him to a place that he wasn't familiar with. And what I mean by that is that, you know, sometimes we talk to each other about anger. We're angry at somebody. We talk about what we're going to do. I never heard Doc make idle threats. I never heard him speak ill of anybody. He always had a way of saying, okay, you know, that's cool what they do, but I know what I do. You know, and that's the thing that I think that lives on in the idealism of Sanukas. That's just my take on it from the time I spent with him. He never spoke ill of another art, at least not in my presence. And that's what I take to this day. You know, there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of things, left and to the right of what we do. But, you know, he always taught me to keep focused on what you know you have the ability to do and to make yourself better at that. You know, so, you know, that's my memories of Dr. Powell.
Shoki and Shia, I'm gonna take another caller. Let's see.
Yes, sir.
0271. 0271. 0271. I guess he would just want to listen. You know, Shoki, since I have you on the phone, before I ask Shoki this question, Shia, you have anything to say to Shoki, or you want to say something on your mind?
Well, so, no, I just want to say, so thanks for calling in. And you always been, I give you the title, I hope you don't mind, I give you the title, the most diplomatic student of Moses Powell. Because you are definitely a diplomat in this system.
Thank you.
I consider you an ambassador for this system, you know, and for Dr. Powell personally. So you definitely are one of his disciples, and I hope you don't mind me giving you that title.
No, thank you.
Hey,
you know, and it's always a pleasure being in your company as well. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a great show, family. We're honoring the greatest martial artists of the 20th century. I got my first martial arts teacher, Shoki Hassan, on the phone when I was a kid, and then I got my current teacher as a man, Shihan Salahaty. I mean, you can't get better than that. But Shoki, I got a question for you. We did an interview with Professor James Sims, and he said that in that hotel, Dr. Powell looked at you and said that you're his number one. And Grandmaster Muhammad was in the background. What did that feel? And what did the man who was the greatest,
loud,
the man that was the greatest martial artist of the 20th century, and looked at you and called you his number one? What does that mean? Like how did you feel? And what did that mean? Like what was that event like?
Well, you know, it to this day it sticks with me. I can remember it vividly. You know, as always, you know, I'm humbled by anything that Doc has ever given me, you know, whether it be a physical gesture or words of kindness or anything, because, you know, you earned everything that Doc gave you, you know, and he didn't give nothing away, you know, he gave it righteously. So, but, you know, we, you know, through our religion and our beliefs, you know, we humble ourselves to know that, you know, we gain our, we take no praise for what we do, and you know, I didn't really look at it as if it was someone praising me, because you know we believe that all praise comes from above, and so that we're all disciples of that, and you know, and then knowing that Doc is a disciple as well, you know, being a conduit from, you know, his teachings, and having them passed on and constantly passed them on day by day. Now, I just felt a real sense of kinship there, more than I've ever felt any other time in my life or anyone else. You know, I have, now let me see how I can word this to you so maybe you can understand it, but I have the fortune and misfortune of being able to be raised without a fraternal father. My father wasn't part of my life for a great part of my life as a teenager and even as an adult. I served 3 years in Vietnam in the jungle, and I could have lost my life there. And I had a father who would not have known to this day if I was alive or not. But when you was in the presence of Doc, whether you were in the same state with him, whether you were in the same room with him, whether you traveled with him, or whether he just called you and was calling to ask you what's up. Whereas a lot of students, we have trouble calling their instructors, trying to ask how they are. But Doc will call you and ask you how you doing today. Out of all the students that he had, it just gave you a sense of kinship and familyship that, like I said, to this day that I try to keep as a legacy of mine, and never forget those words that were spoken to me. One of the great things that Doc has said to me that I constantly remember to this day is that not so much that he called me a great student or that he said anything that I did was personified, but I can remember the day that he called me friend in public, and that meant so much to me still to this day that I was a friend of Dr. Powell. And I know that may seem like just a small gesture in the line of all the things that you can't be called by somebody, because we all think we got friends,
Mm-hmm.
But when Doc called you friend, it meant something. If Doc ever said that to you, he said that you was his friend, not his number one student, not his greatest performer, not his whatever. But if he ever called you friend, it meant something. And Professor Sa'aldeen, I know you know that feeling as well. Whenever he looked at you, he shook your hand or whatever, he held you close. He never took your hand and holding it you at a distance. He never let it go right away. He held you for a minute. He would always, in my travels with him, he would always tell me about the spirit in the room when he walked in it and when he left the room. He'd talk about those things, and those things meant something to him. He would tell me about who he didn't feel something from, and who he did on a constant basis. And those are things that, again, that, you can't learn from a person unless they have some type of kinship to you. So, and answer your question, all words that were spoken to me about me from Dr. Powell meant something to me. And whether others heard it or not, they still stay with me today. But what I'd like to just say by ending is that it really is about the legacy. If we on this call, or even if you're not on this call and you know about what this day meant, the 22nd, if you know about the day of his birthday, if you know about his legacy and how he lived his life and how he stood beside his mother until her last days, and she was elderly and she's sickly, and he was one of the sons who stuck by her and never complained and did what he did. You would see that legacy is the kind of thing that we all should be doing now. He left 4 daughters here. That we should know that that's the legacy, that we take care of each other. We call each other and find out just how we're doing, because that's what he did. And I think the legacy is what we do is what really counts, because he lived the legacy. He lived the legacy of himself and of his teachers as well. And, we call him a living legend. He's alive because he truly was. He definitely walked the walk and talked the talk. And I think it would be far removed for anybody to surpass what he's laid down as a foundation. But like every good teacher, wants his students to surpass him. And he spoke about that many a time. But, trying to surpass Dr. Powell is a task in itself. But he said it there for us to do. And I tend to think the more we take moments like this, the more we take the rest of the 364 days in a year and make sure that they are part of the acknowledgement as well, that we continue to have some importance on him, whether it hits a movie screen or whether a book is ever written about it. The true legacy of our people has always been in the spoken word of the greatness. And we're fortunate enough to still have some people on this planet that have been personally touched by Dr. Powell. And listening to that legacy is part of the next legacy. Because if you've never seen him move like myself and Professor Sa'aldeen have done, then you missed something. You missed something. If you've never been touched by him, if you never got spoken to or had a kind word said about you or to you or from him, then you truly missed something. And so the only way you can get that now is is through the legacy of those people who really live in the legacy of Sanucus Rule Jiu-Jitsu.
So since I think a lot of callers maybe they just probably just family. We have a growing fan base. I mean, first of all, I want to just thank everyone that's listening to our show. I mean, our show now is averaging between 200 to 300 people per show. So I just want to go on ahead and applaud you. You know, I'm gonna. I just want to say that, you guys make this show possible. You guys are fans and you're supporters. I'm seeing even the followers, they're getting emails, So just keep supporting this show, because this is just the beginning of the rebirth of Sanucus Rule. Since I got both my teachers on the phone, I'm just going to kind of turn both of you into my guests right now. And starting with whoever want to go first. My question to both of you guys is this. What was the most challenging thing Dr. Powell ever put on you that challenged you as a martial artist? Whether it was physically, matter of fact, it's a two-part question. What did he physically and verbally?
You want to go with that, Professor? I can add my 2 cents to it. Physically. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. So I go after you. Go ahead.
No, I was just, these questions pop up. It's almost like, we're right there with him because you don't have to think hard for these things. I really wouldn't say, some of the things that when you dealt with Doc, and again, this is my opinion. I'm not saying that this is the way it was all the time. Everyone has different memories of them. But, some of the things when you dealt with Doc, you would almost think it's impossible to do it. And then some of the things you would think, oh, this is easy, I can do this, only to find out that it was almost impossible to do. So, you had this image of things. One of the things, let's say if we just, without putting it into a technique base, Doc was very much in the isometrics, muscles, internal muscles, building your strength from the inside, at least in my dealings with him. I wouldn't say he didn't like a lot of calisthenics and, muscle building from the outside, but he dealt with a lot of isometrics. And anybody can attest to being with him on the floor that he would take 3 minutes of isometrics exercise and have you standing in a pool of sweat. As he tell you about his day's events. So, he put you in those positions like that and just leave you there. But don't think he wasn't watching you. So, you would have your muscles start shaking, your whole internal system start breaking down because, he would have you do some stuff where, muscles were conflicting with your muscles from the inside because a lot of the Sanucus techniques basically are about an implosion as opposed to an explosion. You're fighting from within. We talk about the Bruce Lee's 2-inch punch. Well, the first time I felt that, I never felt it from Bruce Lee, but the first time I felt it and seen it was from Dr. Moses Powell. Where he would have his fist literally 2 inches away from you and can drop you to your knees. So he, it wasn't about him, as big as he was, I've never really seen him take his hand at a long distance and wave it back at you and strike you and, as if he was beating you down or the famed ground and pound, as a lot of people like to call it right now. That was folly. That was, why do that when you can do it from this close distance? And, and again, as Sean said, watching a man that large stand that close to you and do the things that he could was phenomenal. And I guess, if anything, that would be the hardest task, to try to imitate him, because you just couldn't do it, no matter what you watched him do. It just seemed like sometimes when he moved, he defied gravity. Me and Chief Professor Graham, Bill McLeod, we used to think he had roller skates on up under that Hakama, because he just would slide from one end of the room to another. So we used to say, what he got on up under there? Because it just was a grace. The word that he would use constantly is finesse. It just was a way of doing it that you would try to imitate it, and that would be the hard thing, to try to imitate him and try to get as close as you can to making it just as nice, just as quick, just as powerful as he would. But it took a lot more than just watching him. Yeah. Shion, your moment?
Yes, sir. Before I got into the Okinawan karate and stuff like that, later on in 99, 2000, I was taking punches from Moses Powell at 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. And if you can take a punch from Moses Powell, especially like Soka Hassan said, Doc wasn't cocking his hand back and hitting you from a reverse position. Doc was doing 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch punches, from point of origin right to the attack. And he was hitting you, and he would feel it. I would feel it. So by the time I got into the hardcore karate and body conditioning, we were already doing that in South Florida. We did complete body conditioning. So we were conditioning our legs and stomachs and stuff like that within the Sanuka class. And I recently saw a video, a black and white video. I shouldn't say recent. I guess I saw it about 6 months ago now, where they were doing forearm conditioning on this black and white video. And I absolutely remember those forearm conditioning drills that we did in Florida. So the physical, and then also what Soka Hassan just said, the warm up. Doc's warm up wasn't crazy. It wasn't to the point where he just drove you crazy. Doc will just put you on all four, and then have you lift your leg up and leave that leg up for about 15, 20 minutes. And if anybody can tell you that right there, your gi's already sweating. So we did our squats and we did our push-ups, but Doc's warm-ups were a little different. One leg up, and then he did something used to call, I guess we call them up and down, because you say, on your feet, on your back, on your stomach. You had to keep getting up, falling down, back, on your stomach, on your feet. And, I used to hate those, but physically, that right there, boy. And I still teach those to the dojo today, by the way. On your feet, on your back, on your stomach, on your feet. It would just drive me crazy. As far as the getting away from the physical, Doc taught me how to take, how to run a dojo, how to be a man in your dojo, how to put everybody on par with each other. We had visitors come to the dojo all the time. Frank Ruiz and stuff like that would come to the dojo down in Florida. And Doc said, these guys are cool. And we're not talking about Ruiz, but we're talking about anybody. But this is a Sanuka's dojo. And he never gave up control of the dojo. It was, whether it was Gino or Phil Schneek or whoever else who came to class, Doc ran the dojo, no matter what rank you had. And he didn't pull anything. He didn't pull anything. If it was black, he said it was black. If it was white, he said it was white. So the best thing that Doc did for me was he taught me how to be a man in Sanuka's root, as far as when I'm in the dojo. And I take that and to take that attitude, not only in the dojo and outside the dojo, because this art that he was teaching, especially with me being young, was just, it was a complete martial art as far as how to be a man. But you can't do Sanukas if you got any type of weakness or punk in you. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
You can't do Sanukas if you got any type of weakness and punk. Now, I'm not saying it made me arrogant, but let me tell you just a quick story about this Sanuka's attitude I had. In high school, I got in an altercation with a Jamaican student. Now, I told you I was already 6'2", 240, playing football. He was a smaller guy. But this look, he was cocky as he could be, and I was like, whoa. So anyways, the next day, he said, I'm going to get you, and I'm going to bring my, me and my crew. So I'm thinking, okay, do what you got to do, usual talk. But for some reason, I decided I'm going to bring my Arnie sticks, because, we had Arnie sticks. So I brought them to school. Now, I was young and dumb. I wish I would have never did that, because I did get suspended for 2 weeks. But I brought him to school. But he brought 4 other people, 4 Jamaicans. So we had 4 on 1. And they came from the bus. Now, luckily, we had a sheriff officer there, a police officer, and a principal. I guess the word had gotten around school that there was going to be an altercation. But I had no doubt, only with that year and a half of training I had at that time, that I was going to take anybody out with just my 2 sticks and those 4 attackers. So that's the type of attitude I had when I left the dojo. That's the type of mental attitude. Now, there was 4 guys with guns, and maybe I would have been something different. But this was just 4 attackers and me. And the only thing I brought was my 2 colleagues, my 2 Arnie sticks, and wrapped up in a black badge. And I was ready to take them on. So that's the best mental lesson I think I got from Dr. Moses Powell. That this stuff worked. This ain't ritualistic. It ain't fairy tale land. This is him. So those are the two lessons I got from Doc.
Hey, to both of you senseis, I'm gonna take another call. We're on the mat. We're honoring the legacy of Dr. Moses Powell, the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. Let me go to 2580. Call it 2580. 2580. Okay. All right. Here, I got another question for Soka and Shion.
Tell our callers if they want to speak to press 1. If not, they can just hold on and they can listen to the show.
Yes, please. If you don't want to talk, please press 1. If you do want to talk,
No, press 1 if you want to talk. If you don't want to talk, don't press anything.
Right. If you don't want to talk, don't press anything. Press 1 only if you want to speak to the guest. If you want to come on the show. All right. So I have two questions for both of you. These are two unique questions. The first one is to Soka. In the interview that I did with you, you said that towards the end, you was one of his principal ukis that he used to go up and down traveling with. Can you tell us about some of the places you went and some of the experiences you had as an uki for Dr. Powell?
Well, I consider myself fortunate. I went towards the latter part of it back in the 90s. There's so many that went before me, G.M. Anthony, Muhammad, and Soka Little John, and Grandmaster Robert Crossan, and just so many others, all those from the Sugar Root team, as Brother Herlock and others from as well, because they were already adequated with the traveling part of it. A lot of his traveling was towards the West Indian Islands and things like that. We still have a lot of family out there to this day, and still doing it the way Doc left them. There's just people all over the world that are really taking whatever Doc left them with and training with him. And in my travels with him, I got a chance to see a lot of that. I got a chance to hear about some stories of people who he left with just a couple of techniques. And by the time when we could get back to that side of the world again, they had not developed a whole system around it, but they had made it the rudimentary way of doing whatever it is that they're doing. Because that was a famous quote of Dr. Supreme Grandmaster Dr. Powell. He would always say, take this and put it with what you have to make it better. But if you don't have anything, now you have something. It's good. But whatever you get, this will make it better. And that, that's that magic ingredient, if you want to call it. That's the plasma to all blood. You can have type A, type AB, type O, whatever it is, but all of it has plasma in it. And we have to be able to get to that point where we understand the root of something. So one of the things that I was in my traveling with him, and that I found that people were able to take his Sanukas and put it with whatever else they had, and people would just be at all with it. If they liked it already, now they really like it. And if it wasn't as tight, it had a chance to get itself tight. So I went with him when he traveled in Florida, when he traveled to Virginia, when he all up and down the East Coast, and we went to Canada. I was there as well. That was a very unique opportunity there because Canada has province instead of states, and so when we went up there, Master Bissett was really running the Sanukas end up there, and he sent for Dr. Powell, and he called all of these heads of province. And well, the way they had it up there was Master Bissett was actually the leader at that point up there, and these guys had come in as representatives. Let's say if we talk about representative of Ohio or Detroit, of Michigan, of Florida, or whatever, all coming in representing their particular state. And so there was quite a few there, better than 100 people that were there on the mat that represented these different provinces and stuff. And these were leaders of other black belts. And again, what I seen there was each one teach one. And so even in Canada, he had already set up the Sanukas format of each one teach one. It wasn't necessary for him to always be there in order for his information to be passed on. And that was one of my highlights in being there for him and ukiing for him, and also him allowing me to be able to reiterate his craft. I would never say teach it. Just being a conduit of this is how it's given to me. Often to this day, when I do seminars, I make it clear that like it or not, I'm not making this up. This is what I was taught. So you don't have to like it. Dr. Doc never taught nothing like to say, well, do you like this? As Sean just said, they never held classes to try to impress nobody. We didn't care who was coming over that day. If you came over, you got what you got. It wasn't no thing where we were trying to impress nobody with what we do. We just did it the way that we were taught or the way the class normally went. Everybody got touched in the class. Everybody took their techniques to the level of being real. So as he went around the country and in times that I was with him, he did nothing different than what he did in class. And I was always impressed with that, is that, you don't have to try to adjust the truth. The truth is always the truth. You do it the righteous way the first time, you do it that way every time, whether it's in your sleep, whether you're there or not, it continue to be the truth. And so he didn't do it one way in the States and then another way outside of the States. It was always the same.
Oh, to Shihan, I'm going to kind of give the backdrop on Shihan, man. I love this brother, man. Shihan, man, Suki Hassan, all the legends, all the greats of New York, everybody knows. But Shihan, man, he was the main reason why I wanted to start this show, because I wanted the dojo, I wanted the world to see what I saw down here in Atlanta. And just to kind of give you some backdrop for asking Shihan the question, when I was a kid, my first introduction in Brooklyn to jiu-jitsu, I saw Suki Hassan. And I never forget, it was him. It was in, I think, Brother Nitro and maybe Nick Hassan. And, I mean, those brothers was just doing stuff that was just so amazing. I mean, I seen this stuff, and it was hold on one second.
Yes, sir. So, Hassan, don't let him fool you. Don't believe everything you say now.
Live radio, right? Yeah. So what I saw, years ago was just so amazing. I mean, the stuff they did, and we're talking 91, 92. I mean, this stuff was some amazing stuff. I mean, this stuff you was like, whoa. You want to learn this stuff. So of course, with my life, it's a lot of school, a lot of college, and it's just a lot of distractions. But by the time I got to, I kind of got settled down, I wanted to get back into the art. So, of course, I always wanted to go back to that original teaching, because Soke always, he was my, He was my benchmark for what jiu-jitsu is, and that benchmark is extremely high. So I went through a journey, and then I got to the point where I was disillusioned with it, because what I was seeing wasn't Soke. You know what I mean? And I just have to be respectful, but that's just the case. And so I just really didn't have the inspiration at the point that I actually was a boxer. So I was just going to go back into boxing, and because I always felt comfortable with that. And so what happened was, and then I was going to pick up judo. I said, to hell with it. I said, if I know how to box, and I said, well, I'll pick up some judo. If I need to throw a cat, I could throw him. If I need to fight him, I got hands, so I'm good. So I was going to go down to Sensei Stephen Alphabet Dojo and just take up some judo classes. And it just so happened that he was having a seminar on Sanuka's rule. And I said, listen, man, don't tell me about Sanukas. I just want to learn some judo, and I got the boxing, and I'll be good. So I come into the dojo, and Professor Saifullah and Shihan Salahuddin came in to do the seminar. And man, when those guys got on the floor, it was like deja vu when I was a little boy. But just seeing it now as a man, and then unfortunately Saifullah had to go back to Philly, and Shihan, man, I mean, Shihan is just unbelievable as a martial artist, and so I'm setting the stage to say this. For my studying with Shihan, he told me that Grandmaster Gino Alfarano, who a lot of people don't know about, just like a lot of people may not necessarily know about you, but your teacher, Doc, left the complete PIA system to, which is the nerve striking aspect of Sanukas. And I would like for you to tell the audience, what you tell us, and tell us the importance of the PIA and those core 78 movements that you tell us about, and if you could just tell the audience and I guess Soke Hassan, it's not really I guess, it's our family, Soke Hassan, what you tell us in the dojo. About as it relates to PIA and those core 78 movements.
All right, well, I when I left Fort Lauderdale and came up to Atlanta, Georgia, it was right around the Olympics time, 1996. Grandmaster Gino, who was Professor Gino at that time, he had closed the dojo down, and I believe 92, and I had trained with him from 92 to 94, just at his Pompano Beach complex, which is just north of Fort Lauderdale. The same place where Dr. Powell used to actually stay. We used to train outside. When he finally, had to, got into some other things, and he had to, just get out of town to do something. He had put me with some Aikido Jiu-Jitsu people because said he didn't want to change a lot, and this guy was pretty hard, although it wasn't Snookers. It was going to be as close to what I got. So I trained with that guy for a year before I came up to Atlanta, Georgia. When I came up there, I called Doc, and I said, Doc, I'm going up to Atlanta, man, and, I'm good. I'm just a young black belt. Who you got up here in Atlanta? And he told me about, of course, Carol Muhammad Little. She called Muhammad. So long story made short, I met Muhammad and started training with him. When I went in 1997, about a year after I got up here, I went to see Doc and I remember the day. It was April 15th, tax day, in 1997. I went to see Doc in Vermont, and I asked Doc about what's going on, what was up with Gino, and Doc told me specifically these words, because he said, well, listen, I gave all my students something. He said, I gave, this was a personal conversation, so he said, I gave Carol Muhammad Little, I gave him the forms, the new forms, the short form and the long forms. And he said, I gave Gino the PIA. And he said, the thing about Gino is that when I gave it to him, he took him in an area that I could just blew Doc away himself, because Gino really specified the PIA. Well, if you know the thing about Gino Alfarano, he was a little Italian man from the Bronx, very small, about 130 pounds, 140 pounds. Doc couldn't show him all these powerful movements. He had to use basic movements and stuff, but he couldn't pick people up and do katakarumas and all these big throws and stuff like that. That just wasn't his game. So Doc worked with him specifically on the PIA. And if you know anything about Gino, Gino worked in autopsy. He worked as an assistant to an autopsy physician, so he would get live bodies. And so he was always fascinated by the body and things like that. Of course, Doc knew that, so he would tell Doc that, how he would touch a nerve and a freshly, a young male's body who had just got shot. So the body was actually still warm. They got him there within a half hour. The body temperature, hasn't cooled off completely. And he would touch a nerve and make a toe move or make a leg jump or something. And it was fascinating because that stuff he had got from Doc. So he took the PIA and just kept going with him to the point where, this is a story that Gino shared with me, and I don't even know if he wants me to share this with anybody, but I will. To the point where Dr. Powell and him, when he came up to the dojo, he told Doc the story and touched Doc in that area. And I'm not going to tell you what area he touched Doc in. And Doc was like, whoa, where'd you learn that from? And he said, well, I just tried it on the body. And then Doc told him, well, if you do that again, I'm going to kill you. If you hit me like that again, I'm going to kill you. And that was there. And that was it. That was the last lesson Doc ever gave him on the PIA thing. So, it was Dr. Moses Power that told me that Gino was had mastered the PIA forms. And not PIA forms, but the PIA themselves. Not the forms now, let's be clear. The PIA forms and the PIA nerve strikes are different things completely. And that was Gino's forte. Doc said he gave each one of his students something that was always their kind of forte. For Soke Hassan, I don't know what it would be. For Soke Little, or Grandmaster Littlejohn, I don't know what that would be. But he gave everybody. But just my two instructors, he said he gave those two things. One, he gave the PIA mastery as far as the nervous system and the nervous attack. And Grandmaster Muhammad, he gave the new forms and the long forms and short forms. To make a long story short.
I'm about to go back to. Go ahead, Soke. Let me cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to concur with that. That's a great testament to nerve striking. I'm gonna let you go back to the other calls. I know that there are probably some other warriors that want to speak out, but just to quickly follow up what Shihan was saying about the PIA. There is a difference between the PIA forms and the PIA nerve striking, and also to attest to the fact that he intentionally gave us all something different because he was that kind of a surgical master teacher. If there is such a term, I say surgical because you can cut somebody You know, a regular person can cut you, and a surgeon can cut you. And believe me, when a surgeon cuts you, it's by intention, and it's a whole lot of deliberation with it. And Doc would do that. You know, he would place his technique on the proper student for his tenacity to be able to learn it. There's so many names and renames for things. You know, a lot of people may be familiar with Q-show striking and things of that nature. You know, because a lot of these things gain popularity.
Perfect timing.
We were doing that way before others they give it in the name. So our form of Q-show striking would be the pier striking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're tuned into On the Mat Show, honoring the legendary Dr. Moses Powell. You know, one of the things I want to impress in this audience, you know, the people who follow the show, is that I want you to get one thing in your brain. And sometimes you got to say stuff over and over again. It's classical conditioning. And sometimes it doesn't register the first time or even the 10th time, but eventually it registers. And what I need the audience to know is that Dr. Moses Powell was the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. So what that means is that if you go to my Blog Talk Radio, Senjokai, and if you look at all of these masters that I interview, just reach out to them. Reach out to them. You may get lucky. You may be in your area. And if you can reach out to these guys, these men, these warriors, that means that you are reaching out to first-generation disciples of the greatest martial artists of the 20th century. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, sometimes when people are so great, you know, it doesn't even come, you know, their testimony of who they are doesn't really come to the public full force. You know, as an example, you know, to the people who let's say if you're a Christian, you know, the first writers of Christ wasn't written to 80 years after his death. 80 years. You know, or you know, all the greats, you know, it didn't come about until after they died. So, you know, so the fact that he's been gone now 7 years, I think that his propagation is going to get even stronger. I don't think it's going to die out. I think, like all greats, it takes a moment. You lose someone that's great, and then something clicks. Something clicks in the community. You say, wait a minute. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, this guy really was the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. Let me start trying to document this stuff. Let me start trying to, you know, resurrect this stuff. And then before, and I guarantee you in the future, you know, if it be the will of God, that Sanukas Rule will eventually probably be the number one talked about jiu-jitsu system in the world. Let me go back. Let me go to our next caller. Let's see, 78880.
Yes, I'm right here.
Yes, Senior Professor Saifullah. How you doing, sir?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well. I'm doing fine. It's a long trip and a long, good hard class, and some working on my vehicle for my wife to get around. I'm doing all right. Alhamdulillah. Life is like around.
Good. I'm glad you called because I'm gonna let you, please, inshallah, just give people a taste of some of the information. I don't want to release it, of course, or give them everything, but just give them a taste of what I was telling them, some of the stuff that you possess and that I possess from Gino Alvarado, Grandmaster, that's an integral part of Sanukas Rule that a lot of people are missing out on. So I'll let you use your discretion to reveal as much as you want to or anything at all. Just some of the knowledge that we have directly from Dr. Moses Powell and Gino Alvarado.
I want to really commend you, brothers, for putting the show together on such a very short notice. As you know, I was traveling from Atlantic City. All day yesterday I was thinking about this day, you know, the 22nd of January. And I reflect back, as I do every year, what I was doing at that particular time, you know, when I got the phone call. And one thing I want to say is reflective before I get to the question that you asked, Shihan Salahuddin, is that at that present time, I was in Hatboro, Pennsylvania, with a student who wanted, you know, he thought it would be a good idea for us to open up a school of Sanukas. But I didn't just want to open up a school in Sanukas. I wanted to do something that I saw that was different. And that is, very few schools that I see even nowadays, you know, have the school with just Dr. Moses Powell's name on it. And the way I feel, you know, Sanukas, it belongs to Dr. Moses Powell. And if I'm able to be one of the, you know, the instructors, be blessed to be one of the instructors to teach Sanukas, then and I'm teaching his system. It belongs entirely to him. And what he asks for, what he demands, while I'm in that system, is his right. So putting that in the proper context, I decided to open the school in Hatboro San Lucas Rule Academy. Over top of that, with Dr. Moses Powell's name out front.
Yes, sir.
And so people would ride by, they wouldn't see me, Matter of fact, I was hoping that they would run coming into school, hoping to see
looking for Doc.
the chance that they may meet Dr. Moses Powell, But I wanted Doc to know that this was his school, And we were in the process of working out the details of that, putting together where we were going to, what place, what location we was going to have the school, and how we were going to be running. Peter Wolf was, instrumental, very instrumental in that, and we joined in the partnership, and whereas, he'll handle the business aspect, and I'll handle the instruction. And the agreement was very favorable as far as what percentage was to me and for him, with me getting the major part of this percentage. But it was for that reason of putting San Lucas forth and having the school that when Dr. Moses Powell walked in, it would say, Dr. Moses Powell. My name, they wouldn't know about my name until they opened the brochure or came inside the school. But outside, it was about Dr. Moses Powell and his system of San Lucas Jiu-Jitsu. So, I looked, as I said, I looked around. I didn't really see that much in some of the other schools. It was about San Lucas, but either the instructor's name was on there or other people's other names were on there. But in this school, with even with the Warriors and Dojo, I wanted to mainly that they would see Dr. Moses Powell's name, and I remember getting the call. As a matter of fact, I interrupted our planning that day. I had a firearm lesson, and then I was making the plans along with Mr. Peter Wolf, and then I got the call, and I was standing up at first, and then I just sat down, and I had to concentrate on what I had just heard, what my ears had received, the information that my ears had just received. I had to contemplate on that and think and say, wow, it's for real. And after contemplating some time, we called it a day. We wrapped up our plans for that day. I got on the train, and then I immediately began to call some of the senior masters who verified, the call that I had gotten. So, at that point, it just became a matter of me being available to do whatever I could do, via my school, my students, to assist with any arrangements or anything that had to be done at that particular time. And I would say the second part of that, what I wanted to add to that is what has Dr. Moses Powell and his system of San Lucas, what kind of positive, role has it played in my life, and it's a very positive role. And I have to be thankful first and foremost to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then also thankful to the fact that I was fortunate enough as a young boy at the age of 10 to come into touch two fine instructors such as James Walter Yates and Nathaniel McBride, because it was through Nathaniel McBride that actually he used to train and with Dr. Moses Powell, then leave his training and come to our Shotokan school, and was fortunate enough to pick up, both systems since 1965, and then eventually meet Doc in person and train under Doc in 1975 with the help and assistance of Sensei Usman Abdul Salam, who was very close to Dr. Moses Powell. So, it really has helped my martial arts ability as a practitioner and an instructor in such a tremendous way. Even when Dr. Moses Powell instructed me to come to New York to be in take number 4, I didn't think I was worthy of being in take number 4. But I had to follow orders. That's what Doc wanted, and that's what I did. But just that alone, what Doc did and allowed me to be in take 4. One day I was in Philadelphia, and I ran into a person, a martial artist in the street. He said, "Man, I just saw you. I was on 18th and Chestnut, and he said, I just saw you." I said, "You saw me? I'm here. I couldn't see me." I said, "I just saw you down." He said, "I just saw you downtown." I said, "I wasn't downtown. I'm here at 18th Street." He said, "No, I just saw you downtown at 9th and Arch." I said, "But brother, I wasn't there. I'm here at 18th Street." He said, "No, I saw you on a video with Dr. Moses Powell." And I said, "Whoa." I walked into the tournament, and Sheon Jeff Ramsey, he was there. I was there at the tournament with him to do a demonstration along with my master, Nathaniel McBride. And we were in the black belt meeting, and, Sheon Jeff Ramsey looked, he said, came over running towards us, he said, "Oh, shoot, I know you two. You're in tape number 4, So just to see that because of that tape that went all over, Doc didn't need me to be in the tape. But that's the kind of man that he was, the kind of instructor, the kind of father that he was, that, he wanted to share and put, us, those instructors, Grandmaster Anderson, Grandmaster Bill Olsek, Professor James, Sophia Sankli, these people, he wanted to put them out so the world would know them, and know his art through them. And I think this is the job that we have to do. That he was giving us a mission of carrying on this art of Sanuka Jiu-Jitsu. And just like you said, Brother Khan, right presently, as I'm speaking now, I have so many offers from Qatar, Egypt, Morocco, the UK, Saudi Arabia, because they see Sanuka and they see something that's different. And the thing that they see in the difference, there is a lethal art of self-defense, right? Not a sport, but a lethal art. They can get Shotokan. They got Taekwondo. They got MMA, but they don't have Sanukas. And any Sanukas practitioner should thank Dr. Moses Powell, because it's something that we have that everybody can't get everywhere. And like I told Mr. Anthony, I can't do it all by myself, So, it's room for us to come together and really spread the Sanukas in the way that Dr. Moses Powell wanted to spread throughout the world. So it has helped my life tremendously. I've gotten jobs in teaching law enforcement, jobs, and people have asked me to come and do seminars. I've been to Puerto Rico, been all over, because of Sanukas, the Sanukas route that I obtained from my instructor, Nathaniel McBride, and also from Dr. Moses Powell. So this is something that I'm thankful for all those practitioners who I stood on the line with, who I've been on the mat with. And like I always tell Sokia Hassan, because I heard him more, I used to look to my right on Vanderbilt. He'd be the first man on the line. And I said, "Oh, there's Sokia Hassan Khalid. Here's Grandmaster Bill." I'm training, with Grandmaster Anthony. He used to take me down, me and Rashawn Abu Beta. We used to take us down to where Sophie Littlejohn was working at. I think it was a school with a swimming pool. We used to train down there, So that time has to resurface where we come together to spread this art, this particular art, this unique art, throughout the world, and let people understand, let people, experience the joy of being a Sanukas warrior.
Of course. That was very eloquently said, Senior Professor. Sokia Hassan, are you still on the line?
Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, I've just put myself on mute, so I don't have no background noise coming at you.
Okay, so I want 3 of you masters to be on the phone. If you're just tuning in, you're tuning into On the Mat Show. We're honoring the legendary Dr. Moses Powell. I can't, I feel like PBS, like I'm doing a fundraiser, but it's for real, man. Dr. Moses Powell was the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. If you don't believe me, let's just name some of the great ones. If you think about, okay, you got Aikido, Ushiba. He comes from the 20th century, and he's a great, no doubt, he's a great martial artist. He does Aikido, and Aikido is great. Aikido is great, but look at all of the guys that do Aikido, all the grandmasters that do Aikido, and then look at all of the grandmasters that do Sanukas. One of the things that you would notice as unique to Sanukas and I'm going to move away from Aikido now because Aikido is great too. But one of the unique things that's unique to Sanukas is that all the grandmasters all move differently. See, there's a genius in this art. Like Soke Hassan said, that Sanuka's root is the element of creation. That's what makes this art the greatest martial art of the 20th century. There is no other martial art that you can go into and it could be the foundation for something that you didn't even know existed within you. Soke Hassan and Senior Professor Saifullah and Shihan, can you talk on that? Am I making sense what I just said?
Yes. Well, I'll say this. I'll go to this, my senior. Soke Hassan, go ahead, sir.
No, sir. I just was agreeing with him, but go ahead, Professor.
I was just, if let's take a look at it, I look at my own experience as a Sanuka practitioner, and one of the things that I've put made a requirement for myself was to get together with those grandmasters of Sanukas, those other professors, those Shihans, get together with them and get what it is, what Doc particularly gave to that individual. So I can put all the pieces together. That's why, as I was explaining, I don't have time, to go into learning Vijitsu Te, Vijitsu Ru, or I don't have the time, to deal with Kumite Ru. I don't have time to even go into Aikido. I don't have the time to, to go into Jeet Kune Do. If you want to even bring that out from Bruce Lee, because there's so many elements of Sanukas that in order to try to get it, all of it from all of the parties that may be involved, it would take a lifetime. I'm trying to get all the make sure that I have all the short forms, Sanuka fighting short forms down, Sanuka fighting long forms, all the Pia forms, the stick form, the fighting form, and then all the intricate terminology and techniques that come along with that. That's my goal. Now I can't put that on nobody else. But here at the Warriors of Dojo, and the Shinsekai branch and our Sunrise branch, that's what we concentrate on. So everybody has something to offer. There's no sense in putting anybody down or disliking them or putting somebody aside because of you personally don't like that individual, or you personally don't like what the individual may be involved in. Doc gave that person something, then go get it. Go get it, and then utilize it to make yourself a better Sanukas warrior. So, yes, you won't see everybody looking the same because Doc gave different people different things. But the mission should be, let's go after it. The knowledge is there. Let's go get it to make myself better.
Oh, Shihan, you want to respond to that? Shihan?
I'm in. So because I'm in a real loud area, so I'm not gonna be able to be that clear. So I'm gonna have to skip that question and put the phone on mute. So go ahead and just or someone else.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Soke Hassan and Senior Professor Saifullah be my co-host. So so it'll be me and those are my two co-hosts, Soke and Senior Professor. So Soke, if you wanna
thank you very much.
Talk on that, yeah. Soke, you want to talk on that, or you want me to go to the next caller and move on?
Yeah, you can. I really want to hear for some more callers on the line again to show that that we do have some unity and solidarity. I know that a lot of people just called perhaps just to listen in, and again to all of your listeners, I want to thank you for being a part of this and this showing the sense of familyship to be listening to this conversation and to be able to take the time out of your day and stop what you're doing and listen in, if nothing else. So, we're not upset with anybody that's not talking, but we appreciate everybody that's hanging out in the call that's understanding what's being said here and how much of a heartfelt expression that each one of the people are speaking about. So I can listen to you guys all day long because I know that it is coming from your heart, and that expression wasn't coined accidentally when we say eye to eye and heart to heart, because we can stand eye to eye and look an opponent in the face with all sincerity, about our determination, and much as Shihan Salahuddin had spoke about his experience when he faced several assailants. He didn't blink at all, because we take that to our assailants. As C.J. Al-Mutakabara would say, we come in peace, but we leave them in pieces. we have so many expressions of how to bring that eye-to-eye thing out about us. But again, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and you're doing a great job here as well, brother. What I wanted to just leave you on that last note before you go on to your next caller is, because it's really hard to follow people like Professor Saifullah, because he really just covers it all bases, and so not to be redundant and say the same things, because I wholeheartedly feel the same way she does about the question. My take on that would be that we have a way of being able to be the thing that people want and desire. And I say that because there is really no recruiting for Sanukas. We don't need to. Most of the masters that practice Sanukas today, when you listen to their in-depth story, they didn't hear about it from an ad on the internet. They didn't hear about it from a newspaper ad. It wasn't advertised on the back of some movie star. It wasn't brought to us by method of, oh, you can be as great as the person that's selling the product, so to speak. It was basically we were fortunate enough to walk into an area where someone thought about expressing a familyship or kinship of something that they felt good about and offering it to someone else. And so each and every one of us has a story where we walked into Sanukas because somebody showed love for someone else, and that love got rolled over to us by seeing a demonstration, by meeting Dr. Powell. And again, if we look at the essence of that, that's what we can take away. What we can continue the legacy by doing that is, as Professor said, we don't have a lot of time. If we realize our own mortalities, we understand that a man born of a woman only has so many years on this planet. And by saying that, if we start looking outside our mortality and then tend to think that we're going to live forever, no true warrior knows that he cannot physically live forever, but he knows that through eternity he can live through his legacy. And so when you talk about the truth, there's only one truth. Just as there's only one God, this is that the truth is all in the oneness of it all. And we have to try to come together to understand that, Dr. Powell's truth is our truth, which is a truth that we'll leave here for someone else. And a lot of times I think through life we get kind of confused because people are always trying to convince us of something that they want us to know to be the truth. But the truth only has one story. So we got to kind of understand that if we really want to continue the legacy, then we really have to try to find out what is the common denominator and what Doc got from someone else and what he left for us to give to someone else. And, that's why we have these expressions to help remind us. I often say when I'm in an interview of anything for Sanukas, I always remind people that Sanukas is not encrypted. It's not no magical code that you need to figure it out. He left a legacy in front of us for us to be able to just take it for its face value in the truth when he says eye to eye, heart to heart, when he says each one teach one until we reach one. All of these things are telling you exactly what the blueprint of Sanukas is about, because that's the code, so to speak, that we need to live by. And when we talk about the code of anything, that's the truth of whatever it is we're speaking on. In other words, that's the DNA of it. You have to understand the DNA of something before you can identify exactly what it is you're dealing with. And so, we have to go back to that root type thing and find out what could we do, as our teacher has done, to create this legacy. Because, when our time is up, we can only hope that we left a legacy as strong as Dr. Powell.
I remember Dr. Moses Powell was saying, and I believe this is in 2003, up in Upper Marlboro. He said that we're one family, we're under one umbrella. and that sticks, in my heart and my mind. But what I do want to say is that, I want the people who are listening in, it's not a call to attack anybody or, be displeased with anybody today. We just want you to come and share what you're doing when you found out, that Doc wasn't physically here amongst us, and what has Sanucus done, to enhance your life. Share that with us. Let's share with the, with the public, with the world, on this day.
So it's the On the Mat show honoring the legendary Dr. Moses Powell, 619-996-1602. Like the senior professor at Saifullah said, call in to tell us about your experience and what were you doing on the day that Dr. Moses Powell passed away 7 years ago on 2005. My next call is 1679. 1679.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. State your name and tell us where you're calling from and you're on the mat.
Yes. My name is Hafsa, and I'm a beginning student in Philadelphia under Professor Saifullah at Warrior Within Dojo. I wanted to learn discipline and self-defense in a way to connect my mind, body, and soul with self-control. My Umi chose a dojo that is in the Muslim community that has a long history of experienced teachers and that is family-oriented.
Alhamdulillah. And how have your training thus far impacted upon your life?
It's been going good, mashallah. I've learned a lot, even though I've had 2 classes, but I've learned patience and how to control myself with breathing and self-defense.
And even though you don't know too much about Dr. Moses Powell, but your experience, you're on the journey that's beginning to give you a wonderful experience to his wonderful system of Sanucus Rule. You've seen some classes. What do you think about the system itself that Dr. Moses Powell put together?
I love it. It's really talented, and it just brings to life what you can do with your body.
Mind and soul. Alhamdulillah. Shukran.
That's one.
Right.
Thank you, sister, for calling in. Eye to eye, sister.
Eye to eye.
Eye to eye.
Eye to eye.
All right, I'm going to go to the next caller, 3503. 3503. All right, another caller, 2580. 2580.
Yeah, this is Noel Aaron, and I'm just listening. Continue, I'm enjoying this.
Hey, no, you're not going nowhere. You're on the call too. So now I got three co-hosts. I got 3 co-hosts.
Yeah, well, continue with what you're saying.
I got Grandmaster. Yeah, just you still on the call. You could just be a silent listener. But now I got 3. I got 4 masters on the line. My teacher is mute, and then I got Grandmaster Noah Aaron. I got Sultan Hassan Khalid, and I got Senior Professor Saifullah. No. Before I ask the next question, and Grandmaster Noel Aaron, I just put you on hold because you have some feedback, but I'm going to bring you back in when I ask this question. But before I go on, I want to say something in terms of one thing I've learned about Sanucus, and that is that Sanucus gives you a warrior spirit. That's one of the things that you, like Sihan said, that warrior spirit. You can't be a coward. I actually, share with you two stories how that warrior spirit helped me. Actually, when I was younger, actually training under Soke Hassan. I never even told Soke this. So some of my friends know this. But I was about maybe 13, 14. I was coming on the 3 train, and I was coming down on Pennsylvania Avenue. And back in those days, a lot of young guys was robbing people for their book bags for JanSports. JanSport book bags was a big thing. And so the bus was coming, and there was an office on the 83 bus, and I was right there on at Pennsylvania Avenue I was coming down from the 3 train, and this big dude came up to me, and he was like, "Yo, son, run your book bag." So I'm looking at this guy, and I already sort of copped on the bus, so I'm like, okay, whatever. So the bus come up, and my mother just paid $60 for this bag. She didn't want to buy me the bag to begin with because he was getting robbed for it, and I convinced her to buy me this bag. And this guy wasn't more intimidating than my mother. I just, whatever. So when the bus came, I just acted like I was going to ignore this guy. He was bigger than me. He had to be at least maybe 18, 19. I was like 13, 14. So as I'm walking on the bus, he grabs my book bag, pulled me towards him, and then he starts to hug me. And he's like, "What's up, son? I ain't see you in mad long. You my little, blah blah blah." So he's acting as if he knows me. He's turning his back towards the bus. So the cop didn't even see what was going on. All right. So now the bus leaves me. I'm now in the Middle East New York, and I'm there. And when I look on the corner, I see 4 of his friends. So 4 of his friends is on the corner, all looking at me. And so I told the guy, I said, "Listen, why don't you just let me shoot the fair one with any one of these guys? And if he beat me up, I give him my bag, whatever." So we get there, and so the guy threw up his hands. I threw up my hands, and so he really couldn't deal with me. So they jumped me. So I got jumped by 5 guys from the corner of that block to the end of the other block. The guys ran on top of the car. They DDT'd me. One guy came, knocked me in my jaw. Another guy threw bottles at me. And I'm fighting for like 8, 9 minutes. You know what I mean? And I still had the book bag on my back. And I hated them so. They built so much hatred in me that I refused to go down for these dudes. And what happened was the book bag was getting heavy. So I threw my book bag off. They still jumping me. I get on the corner of the block, and I'm tired at this point. I don't got no more adrenaline. And then the 2 cops roll up. So the cops come up, and they say, "Hey, what's going on?" So the guys, they run, and I didn't even get into the fact they just robbed me, but I just got into the fact that's one of my book bags. And so when the cops came up, they took the bag, and I saw them running the building. And so the cops come to me, and they say, "You got money?" And I said, "Yeah." So they said, "Well, go." They said, "Catch a bus." They left me there. They got back in their car, and they left me there. And the guys was running back up the block. They was running back up the block just to finish me off. So when I was on the Soke Hassan, we would always sit like in a zazen position, like in a meditation position. And it was like I said, I had this hatred. You know what I mean? Like I hated them so much for just violating me. And besides, I refused to run from these dudes, although I was so exhausted. So I dropped down into this zazen position, and because I knew if I would have run off in the corner, they probably would have sliced me or shot me, whatever. So I figured, well, if you're gonna kill me, do it right here in the public. Now, mind you, it's broad daylight, cars slowing down, watching the fight. Nobody stopped, nobody helped me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody getting off the bus looking, and nobody did nothing for me. And so I'm at the end of the block, and the guys just running, and then somebody just picked me up, put me in his car, and drove me home, just like that. I don't know where this guy came from. I don't know who he was. You know what I'm saying? But he just came behind me, picked me up, put me in his car, and took me home. But that spirit came from Sanuka. That spirit came when somebody said, if you ever get jumped, grab one person and bring them out. And that's what I did. I grabbed one person. I was trying to put my fist down his throat. And although they was jumping me, although they was beating me up pretty bad, I had this one dude that was banging out. You know what I'm saying? And so it's that kind of warrior spirit that Sanuka's Root puts in us as martial artists, that you can't get it from no mixed martial art. You know what I'm saying? See, a mixed martial arts kind of referee that could come in and stop it. See, there was a referee in East New York. You see what I'm saying? When they pull out that blade and cut you from your ear to underneath your chin and give you that $150, there's no referee for that. There's no referee for a 45 if they could have pulled that out. You see what I'm saying? So that spirit was put in me from Sanukas. And before I ask the next question, I'd like for you two masters, and maybe you want to talk on that, or you could kind of start a new conversation.
So yes, sir.
I'm just listening with all kinds of intensity because, I just want to say real quickly that, it's just hard to say that you can teach that. Brother said that was the first time he shared that story with me or anyone else, and he kept it to himself because, as you can see, he didn't think of it as bragging rights. So he didn't think of it as his survival rights. He didn't review it back in his mind as to what he could have did, what he might have did. It wasn't no preset anything. There's no way you can teach somebody about something coming from the rear from them on things of that nature. But there's no real practice for that. I think that's what he's saying, is that spirit is not taught. There's nothing on the itinerary that says, okay, today we want to teach warrior spirit. Because I didn't learn that from Dr. Atwood, but I can tell you some personal stories of my own that we don't really have a lot of time for here right now that mirrors that type of image. That what Doctor said, this is survival training. We're not here to win tournaments. We're not here to demonstrate our abilities to show off anything, but to make sure that we are always in survival mode. And that's what was taught to me about on the warrior spirit, that you're there all of the time. As in the original dojo creed of what is a man or woman of the martial art, you hear about a lot of the attributes of what a warrior should be. And what we have to always understand that that's something, again, it's not taught in a lesson. It's not taught every Tuesday at a certain time. You get that only by association of being around someone who knows and understands that warrior spirit and to be transferred. The only way that can be transferred is to be able to be in the presence of someone with the warrior spirit. As I heard earlier, the young lady that was on the line, I'm not quite sure what her age is, but I really felt good hearing her speak because in her words, I just like Brother Shabazz said, I heard the warrior spirit. She spoke well. She spoke from her heart about what she was getting. She thanked her mother for bringing her to this. And again, if we look at the similarities in this is exactly how we feel to this day. Some 40 years later inside the training, we feel just like that. I remember feeling the same way, and I was very thankful for being able to walk into a school where somebody cared about me other than just from the time that I was on the mat. And I think that she's getting that in the school that she's in now, and she's very appreciative of that. And again, I keep going back to the legacy because that's what we're talking about here. We have a St. Lucas warrior continuing the legacy by putting that in someone that is very young, that more than likely has a generation on her own behalf, and her being a female, when she starts her family, she'll remember that legacy, and that's how we continue it. And that's what it means something down the road. It has to mean something to us right now before it means something to anybody a little bit later on. But thank you for sharing that story with me, brother. I mean, it was meaningful to me. I hope that you felt good about sharing it with us as well.
For seeing Professor, before we and I'm going to actually ask Grandmaster because we only have 32 minutes left, and I'm gonna I just want people to know how great this art is, and I also want the audience to know that Snooker's Rule is not dead. Snooker's Rule is alive, is living, and there's enough masters living where you could get nice at this. I mean, real nice at this. I mean, it's not. I mean, at times from a distance, people try to act like Snooker's is dead. It's not dead. This art is a living art. And what I would like to ask all three of you masters, I'm going to start with Senior Professor Seyfullah, is I want you to tell the audience a story where you had to go into battle to defend yourself, and that warrior spirit came out.
I can give you many of them, but let me start by saying this. When people ask, what is the difference between Gracie Jiu-Jitsu or MMA and Snookus? I reflect upon the words of Dr. Moses Powell when he says, we're not here to compete or to see who's the best. But we're here to win, and to win by any means necessary. Dr. Mosatao, if you were listening to him, he says Snookus is about pressure. And this is what I'm hearing from you, Farrakhan, that Soki Hassan Khalik transmitted the proper knowledge to you to be able to allow you to understand and be aware of the warrior within inside you, and to be able to deal with that pressure, so much so that even when the police left and they were coming back, you was ready to go down. You was ready to survive. And it wasn't really about the book bag, the school bag, but it was about you as a human being having the right to be left alone, having the right to be unharmed, having the right to be not harassed, as we have many of our children in schools being bullied and harassed because people think they have the right to do what they want to do when they want to do it to whoever they want to do it to. And so Lucas will let you know that time is over, because you're with the right one now, baby. So when you hear these type of stories, it really reminds me of, the old, I think it was the Black Book magazine used to have a section there called "Funny Thing Happened Away from the Dojo." A funny thing happened away from the dojo, and I used to read it. Oh, it was wonderful stories about people who had to, confrontations and had to deal. I'll say this: I have stories, and when we get more time, I let other people to talk. I share my students who hear me talk all day in class. I tell them, when I'm teaching you, I'm not teaching you from something that I haven't experienced. I'll tell you, I was 15 years old at a brown belt when a man in the street at night tried to rape me. So I know what it is. When I'm teaching the women, so I know what it is when a man is trying to take you to some place that you don't want to go, and maybe in an area that you don't want to go in. And if I tell you the story of how I got out of that, by using not only my martial arts skills on the physical level, but raising to the mental level, I overcame the mind of my attacker, who was about 40, anywhere from 40 to 45 years of age, and drunk, and threatened me with a gun, and later on changed it to a knife. When my ears were able to pick up, you say you have a gun, now you say you're going to cut me. And I had him to the fact that he can follow me. No, I don't like, this is not a good place right here. Somebody may see us. Come back over here to where those steps where we went the first place, but you heard the dog and ran, but I took you back there because I needed leverage. I needed leverage to attack you the way I want to attack you. I need to be up on those steps. I was 15 years of age and knew, as a man, developed by my martial art instructors. What is a man or woman martial art? Man or woman martial art? One who takes at all times, in every situation that you're in. So when we talk about developing men and women in the dojo. And that sister that talked, she's approximately 15 years of age. So that's part of my story. I have many of them. I've been in life and death situations, and I've survived them. And I'm here to talk about them through the grace and mercy of Allah, and thanks to the training of my instructors.
Okay, Hassan, would you like to share a situation where you had to use warrior spirit?
No, sir, but what I would like to do is this. I like to hear a couple of more callers here, and I would be more than happy to just sit and because I'm coming your way to sit break bread, and I can tell you as many stories as we can stand. A lot of the things that Professor Saifullah was saying is so much important, because it wasn't the act, it was basically the spirit that got us out of that, and it was beyond technique, and that's what I'd like to share that Dr. Powell gave us about in every situation stories that I could tell you, whether it be in any kind of a professional setting or in the real settings. my conflicts go back as well as being a teenager myself. And I'm far removed from being a teenager at this point. But those stories are still fresh in my mind. But I'd just like to hear from some of the other callers. Thank you again, though.
Let me take, 5405, 5405. 5405, you're on the mat.
I'm going to press 1.
Yeah, I guess they just listening. Maybe they don't want to talk. I'm gonna go to 3503. 3503. Okay. I'm gonna bring back Grandmaster Arrington back on the phone. Grandmaster Arrington. Okay, maybe I lost them.
Do we have any more numbers on the line? We can go. We'll keep it moving.
Okay, let me go to 1679.
No, don't be shy.
1679.
So you already told. So like I already.
That's sister.
That's sister. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, that's the young sister. All right. Okay. Well, it's okay. There's no more callers. You call my way.
You know, as I said before, it is always a good day when family can come together. I just was able to share a moment with Professor Saifullah just yesterday down at another public event, and there's so many people in that room, but just a mere mention of the name Dr. Moses Powell, even at this state, so many people I spoke to wanted to know, what's being done in honor of his legacy, because so many remember Professor Saifullah for so many years had in January taken the month and set up a celebration. So much so that Cecil Allen Goldberg, who throws his annual event, had always been somewhat cautious of having it around the same time as Professor Saifullah does his, because he would like to have some of the same constituency out there, because there would be no question in the minds of those people who wanted to give respect to bring their Master Dr. Powell. They would go to Professor Saifullah's event. But in contrast to just saying who's going to come to whose event, it would be simply because the name was spoken and we wanted to be able to pay homage and pay respect. So, whenever we can have a moment, any place, I think we should continue to do that. I'm very much an advocate of getting it out to the youth and letting the youth know about those experiences that we have with our teacher and that we still share with them to this day. And much like you said, Brother Shabazz, that it's a living legacy. It's a living art. It has transitioned into another form of being carried on, but there's nothing dead about it. There's nothing dead and stagnant about anything in Sanuka. It's about any form or facet. And you're right. I've said many a time that it was ingeniously set up. Any time that I take a moment and sit and think about the syllabus of how it was put together and think about the knowledge, the terminology, and things of how it was put together, it's ingeniously put together, so much so that I never had the aha moment that I finally discovered the end. I never think of Sanuka as, okay, this is the end. Much like when people discover things, we figure that that's it. You discover new land, you figure that's the end of the land. You discover a new idea, you think that it's the ultimate idea, but there's nothing beyond that. But whenever I see something in Sanuka unfold, I always think that if I discover this now, and what else is there to discover? And I tend to think that that's what we leave for the youth to be able to find out and for them to put something in, because we can learn from them. And that's what Doc was saying when he said, each one teach one. Many a times my students have taught me, because they will come up with a question. Or what if this? And what about this? And, I don't feel comfortable here and doing this. And then you can go into that aspect, because I don't know what it is that you think about it. We present a certain level of confidence about what we do, but as Grandmaster Bill McLeod would say, we work in a clinical environment. It's a very clean situation where we work at, but it's a very dirty environment in the streets. I often tell my students that it ain't going to be pretty when you attack. You ain't going to get a chance to do a perfect stand. You're not going to get off that perfect kick to the head and things of that nature. You're going to have to make this fight work for you and take control of it. And again, as we go back to talking about that Sanuka spirit, I think that's what we are conveying to the student when we can mix all forms of martial art to make it work. And my personal conversation with Dr. Powell, listening to him talk about his boxing career was phenomenal. I listened to him when he talked about playing football and things that he learned in footwork in there. He would talk about his experiences in different places. It helped him expand his knowledge on different aspects, and I tend to think that he taught us to do that. He taught us to be able to be, as he would frame, teachers of teachers. When you're a teacher of a teacher, you're always going to be the student because you have to come back and learn something else that you can convey. So, again, without taking up all your time, that's my collective memories of Dr. Powell and his legacy and how he's touched me. And again, I thank you for having this call today because it helps us to be able to reflect on that. So even if I was didn't speak on it today, thank you for coming to the call on behalf of Chancellor Alvin and on behalf of the other pastors, Mr. Samuel, here in New York. We still keep it knowledge of this date of his transition on the 22nd of January.
Oh, I'm gonna go back to the call. 619-996-1602. You're calling on the mat. We're honoring the legendary Dr. Moses Powell, the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. The call I'm going to now is 5496-5496. Okay. Next line I'm about to bring in is 0271. Let me bring in 0271. 0271. You're on the mat. Okay. I'm going to bring in next 2580. 2580. Okay. Let me bring in 1450.
Peace and blessings.
Yes, can you state your name and ask your question, please?
This is Daryl. How are you?
Oh, how you doing, Grandmaster Ada?
All right, heart to heart. How's everybody?
Everybody's great.
What's up? All right, heart to heart.
All right. I'm thinking here about Dr. Powell, and I'm thinking back over my memories with him and training with him and my opportunity to meet him and to be touched by him several times, and still feeling the pain sometimes. But, to have had the opportunity to train with Dr. Powell and his influence both on me and also on my cousin, Grandmaster Billy Davis, I think over the blessings that I've had to travel with him a little bit, to learn how to create, how to create in action. He always talked about drawing from the universe and all of that. I was really blessed and honored to have had the opportunity to work with him and to train with him. And I do miss him, even though, at times, unfortunately, things went the other way. It's my unfortune to not have cleared those things up. And, I suffer with that every day, that I did not clear those things up with him. But I still carry that which he shared with me on, and I try to be a blessing to everyone who comes into contact with me and to share that which he gave me with them. So, I always hope to keep his name in high honor and to tell my students who he is and to the significance of his influence in the martial art community, period, you know.
Well, yes, sir. Yes,
sir. Oh, so Grandmaster, I'm gonna keep you on the phone as well. We only got 60 minutes left. If you're tuning in to 619-996-1602, you're calling on the mat. This is dedicated to the greatest martial artist of the 20th century. Greatest martial artist of the 20th century, no doubt about it. The greatest martial artist of the 20th century. For my understanding, according to my Shihan, Snooker's rule was the most dominant martial art. Snooker's rule was the most dominant jiu-jitsu art in America for 30 years straight. I think from like the early 60s up until maybe the 90s or something like that, it held that position for a very long time. When you said Snooker's rule, I mean, you got the attention of the world, you know, and I'm actually on the phone with the disciples. I mean, these are the people that touched Doc. They live with Doc. They saw Doc. Doc, you know, I mean, it's like calling on the show, you know, you guys don't realize who's on this phone, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when I call your number, you should talk. Like, these people are legend people. Senior Professor Saifullah, Dr. Hassan Khalid, Grandmaster Darryl Sargent, Shihan Salahuddin. All these people are, this is the real deal. It doesn't get realer than this. Before I raise the next topic, I'm going to go to the next caller. 1679? 1679? Okay. All right. To my guests, I got a question because we only have 14 minutes left. All right. What can we do? And I'm going to start with what can we do? And keep in mind, we got 14 minutes left. What can we do as a family, as a Snooker's Rule family, because Doc was all about family, what can we do as a Snooker's family to unite the Snooker's Rule system and to put it back on the top of the mountain so it can go another 30, 40, 50, 70 years as the most dominant jiu-jitsu art in America and in the world?
I'll keep it brief so that I can let the other masters speak and add their input to it. But, you know, I just go back to coin a phrase that you have to plan your work and then work your plan. All too often, you know, that we have an opportunity to come together and we'll get that opportunity to show our craft or to speak on what we're doing and to show what we know or to put something into action. But we have spent little time on working that plan. And so when it comes time to put it into action, it's sometimes faltered. So, you know, again, if we use that formula, I don't think we can go wrong. You know, and we teach out the youth that very same way of doing things. Because, you know, things just don't automatically work. You know, we don't automatically learn how to defend ourselves. You know, that's why we call it training. You know, we have to be able to train ourselves to do that. You know, a fireman doesn't just run up in a building, just burn it up. You know, the common sense thing to do is buildings on fire, run the other way. Firemen are trained to run toward the flame. You know, we don't run from combat. We train to deal with it. So it's the same thing that happens. You know, situations come up and sometimes it doesn't seem like we're moving forward or we're making a lot of progress or whatever, and that's to be understood. But there will come a time. And when that time comes, we should be able to stand united because, you know, our plans are individually worked. So we come together, it becomes the solid factor. You know, much like if you would look at a dream team, you know, you put together a lot of dream players that are good at what they do. It becomes a dream team when everybody on the team is doing their very best because they came with their A game. And I tend to think that that's what we need to do is work on our own individual selves, be the very best that we can individually be. So that way when any one or two of us come together, we become a nuclear force and moving anything together. We don't need a lot of people. It would be nice if the entire family came together on it. But, you know, much as we look at our lives, the way life is, there are many single parents out there that have raised very good families. Then when they get together with another positive mind, then the family becomes greater. You know, and then, you know, the brothers and sisters unite together and it becomes even greater with the mother and father who united with them. But it doesn't stop that one positive family member from starting out. A mother doesn't wait to get a positive mate before she starts putting out positivity to the family. So, you know, my thing would be to work on our own personal parts of the legacy keeping it strong so we do come together is something that will move us forward together as a family.
Senior Professor Seifel.
Professor Seifel.
Yes. My next question, the question is to you. What can we do as a Sanukas family to unite and also put Sanukas rule back on the top of the mountain as it was when it held that position for 30 years as the most dominant jiu-jitsu art in America?
Well, the answer to that is very simple. If we can be content and happy to have the one, and all, and cut out the big U's and little I's, and be content with being the zero behind the one, then Sanukas would be magnified tremendously. As I've heard Professor James so beautifully put it, Dr. Moses Powell is the one. And if all those zeros, because that's what we are, because what would we be without the system of Dr. Moses Powell? What will we be? So we're the zeros, and we can become content with that, happy and satisfied with that, and knowing that Dr. Moses Powell is the one, and line up behind that one as zeros. Well, the more zeros that line up behind that one, the more stronger and bigger that one becomes. And that's any time that you can help in that manner, I think that speaks volumes in itself. But it's only when we become discontent, or we feel that we have another or even a better ideal or solution, that the zeros begin to drop and try to become the one themselves. So this is the way that, I say Dr. Moses Powell, Dr. Moses Powell, he has written the prescription. It's a saying, medicine has a bitter taste, but the result is sweet. So if we can manage to take the prescription that has been given and be happy with the sweetness that can be derived from that medicine, and I think that you will see a flow from a stream that's so full of energy and life. I don't see how that will flow out to touch everyone throughout the world.
Well said, Senior Professor. Grandmaster Sergeant, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, let me rephrase the question to you. What can we do as a Sanukas family to unite the system and put Sanukas rule back on the top of the mountain as it was? It held its position in America for 30 years straight as the most dominant and most dangerous jiu-jitsu art in America. What can we do to get back, to unite and get back to that level as a family?
I say always give honor to the Creator. And when I mean that, yes, of course I'm talking about the Creator of all things, but I'm also talking about the Creator to Sanukas. And remember that family is just that, it's family. Although people might have different expressions of manifesting Sanukas, we are family. And I believe that if we spread the teachings in regard to the youth and in regard to those who want to train, I think, and keep Doc's name alive and keep his philosophies and his concepts and his principles and all those things that he gave to us, if we keep them alive in that which we do, I think that there's no way that Sanukis as a whole could not grow and get back to that point. It's not that far off if everybody would just come back together and even through the differences, get back together and just put some time together and share that which the Doc gave them. I believe that with that being said, I really believe that Sanukis can be that again. We all have different expressions. We all have different things that Doc gave us at different times of his life. But all in all, it is what it is. It's that which he gave us, and we have to take it to the next level now in order to keep it alive, in order to keep it functioning, and in order to keep Doc where he's supposed to be.
Excellent, Grandmaster. I'm going to bring in my teacher, Shion, next. Shion, are you still there? Shion.
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let me ask you this question. What can we do as a family to unite the Sanukis family and put Sanukis Rule back on the top of the mountain? So I keep saying this because I need something to click. Because Sanukis Rule was the most dominant martial art for 30 years in America. What can we do to bring Sanukis back to that level?
In my opinion, I'm going to second what Professor Saifullah said and what the other brother said. You got to see what Sanukis was and what Doc wishes for it to be. And, there's nothing that stops innovation within Sanukis. We can innovate, I believe, in this art. But, there's so much to learn about this art, is that we need to just put the emphasis back on what it was supposed to be around and what it's supposed to be about, and just present what we got. If you just show the people what you got, and then it's going to attract people. Like Professor Saifullah said, people calling all over the world. I've taught Sanukis not only in Japan, I've taught Sanukis in Hong Kong and China, so Sanukis there's an audience for Sanukis. When people see the art of Sanukis, it's a natural attraction to it. Anybody that's interested in self-preservation is a fan of Sanukis Rule, because at its core, that's what it's about. And the only way the family, I believe, can ever get come back together is we have to come back around the teachings of our founder and what he wanted for the system, and put his wishes for the system ahead of our own. We may want to do this, we may want to do that, but we have to keep remembering that what the original intent for the system was. And I think if we can at least look at each other eye to eye and heart to heart and say this is Sanukis Rule and this is the way Doc wanted it, then I think we're going to come to it. So I think focusing back on Dr. Moses' power of martial art, and only his martial art, and what he did in and outside the dojo, but focus on mainly what he did inside the dojo and his art that he created. Like you said, when you speak of martial arts, we talk about Dr. Moses' power, and then maybe other people stress like Masuyama and some of the other great masters. But when it comes to combat, we're not talking about rings. There's no tap out and nothing, nothing like that. When it comes to combat, Dr. Powell was second to none. So I think if we unite around what Sanukis was founded for, survival, and we stick with what Doc taught us in the system, and we innovate also. Don't get me wrong. There's got to be some innovation, but just make Doc the focus and Sanukis the focus. I think that's the only way you're going to get people to come back to the table. How do you get your family to come to the table? You put food on the table. Well, the food in this case is Dr. Powell and Sanukis Rule. If it ain't no food on the table, nobody ain't coming to eat. So come and eat.
All right, so we got 2 minutes left on the show. I'm going to close it out by just saying a few words. First of all, I want to thank the guests. I want to thank Team Professor Saifullah, the director of Warrior Within Dojo Humboldt. I want to thank Sugi Hassan Khalid, from the Kuroshi Kaikan organization. I want to thank my teacher, Shihan Salahuddin. I also want to thank Grandmaster Darryl Sargent. And actually, I want to thank you, I want to congratulate you on your recent inheritance from Grandmaster Billy Davidson. And I wish you the best with that organization. And what I would like to also share to the entire family that's listening is that here's this vision. Check this vision out. All the masters, right? We get it out, you get what's out, and then we just somehow or another, we all come together. And then in all of our local cities, because leadership is local. Leadership is local. We all do Sanuka seminars wherever we at. And then imagine a vision that Doc had got an award from the Benin Empire of Africa. I got 1 minute left. But imagine being able to go back to the Benin, Africa, do a Sanuka thing there, and do a world tour all over Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, just like when Muhammad Ali did that fight over there. That's the vision. So I'm going to close out. We got 41 seconds left, and tradition, I just let Soki Hassan close this out by saying eye to eye.
Eye to eye.
Heart to heart.
Heart to heart. To the wall and back.
What's up?
To the wall and back.
Bus.